After buying the video of my husband's latest backseat rendezvous from the paparazzi for the 99th time, I dug out the written apology he wrote in high school. He'd been caught secretly holding my hand by the dean, and in his apology, Jackson Archer had scrawled in his determined, youthful handwriting. I know they say we're too young for love, but I believe our love can conquer anything. Before I'm 30, I'll give Audrey a home, with a baby and a cat. I'm 29 now. There's no baby, no cat. But he has given another woman and their fraternal twins a perfect home. I took a pen and pressed down hard on the yellowed page, adding a single, shaky line. Then I drove the tip of the scissors into my own neck. You were wrong. You didn't make her happy. You drove her to her death. The pain was distant, a dull throb beneath the overwhelming wave of relief as the warmth drained from my body. Just as my consciousness began to drift, the bathroom door crashed open. Jackson burst in. His pupils shrank to pinpricks the moment he saw the crimson swirling in the bathtub. He stumbled forward, almost falling, snatching a towel and pressing it desperately against the gushing wound on my neck. Audrey, are you fucking insane? I looked at his panicked face and felt a strange urge to laugh. Was he afraid I would die, or was he afraid my messy death would tarnish his pristine reputation? Don't touch me, Jackson. Let go. He tried to lift me from the water. I struggled, and the icy, pink-tinged water splashed all over him, soaking his expensive suit and shirt, clinging to his body and leaving him a pathetic, dripping mess. Trying to kill yourself over something so trivial? When did you become so goddamn dramatic? He snarled through gritted teeth. I just closed my eyes, too tired to argue. I remembered the time I'd begged Sylvie to get an abortion, threatening to slit my wrists if she didn't. He had lied to me, telling me he'd sent her abroad after the procedure was done. He lied until she reappeared, 2 babies in her arms. That was the day I'd thrown myself from the balcony. Again and again I hurt myself. And with each attempt, Jackson's initial heartache had curdled into cold indifference. You don't have the guts to actually die, Audrey, he'd said once. You just pull these stunts to force my hand. Otherwise, how do you explain being saved every single time? The car sped toward the hospital, a siren screaming through the night. The doctors were quick. Soon I was lying in a private room. Jackson finally lit a cigarette, the smoke curling around his agitated form. Sylvie was an innocent girl when she came to me. She's worked tirelessly for the company and for the children these past 3 years. I was drunk that night. I wronged her, and the children are innocent in all of this, he said, his voice rising. He loomed over me, his eyes a mixture of exhaustion and utter bewilderment. The title of Mrs. Archer will always be yours. Why can't you just be a little more gracious? Is it so hard to accept 2 children? They're my flesh and blood. I stared at the man I had once loved with every fiber of my being. He was demanding I be gracious about the children he'd had with another woman. My heart didn't ache anymore. It felt like it had been encased in ice, a suffocating coldness spreading through my chest. Jackson, we're getting a divorce tomorrow. His brow furrowed. How long are you going to keep this up? It was just some stupid video from the paparazzi. You won't touch me, he spat. So, what? I'm not allowed to get relief from her either? A bitter smile twisted my lips. You used to say that if you ever made a mistake, you'd let me go without a fight. His breath caught. A complex emotion flickered in his eyes. Audrey, we were just kids. You can't take childhood promises seriously. I closed my eyes, exhausted. Then let the past stay in the past. You've already given your home to someone else. I don't want it anymore. Silence hung in the room for a long moment. He reached out, his hand hovering over my hair. Don't say things you don't mean. I turned my head away. His hand fell, and he slammed the door on his way out, his anger palpable. Get some rest. The doctor said you're emotionally unstable and need quiet. His voice came muffled from the hallway. We can talk about the divorce later. Just don't do anything stupid again. In his eyes, my hysteria, my breakdowns, were nothing but foolish theatrics. My pain was merely an inconvenience, disturbing the peaceful, double life he was so enjoying. Just then, something in the corner of my eye caught my attention. It was the old apology note clutched in my hand. New words, blooming into existence on the blank space of the page. Who are you? Why are you scribbling all over my apology note? My heart hammered against my ribs. I stared, transfixed, at the words that had appeared from thin air. My hand trembled as I picked up the pen a nurse had left behind. Jackson, I'm your guardian angel. I'm here to protect you. Stay away from Audrey. I held my breath, my eyes glued to the paper. A few seconds later, a new sentence appeared, the handwriting youthful and angry. That's bullshit. Why should I listen to you? I love Audrey, and I'm going to be with her. What the hell are you? It was him. It was really the 18-year-old Jackson. The boy who still believed love could conquer all. The boy who had sworn to give me a home. That boy and the cold, self-possessed man who had just left my room were two entirely different people. My mother had an affair. My father murdered her and her lover before being sent to prison. Everyone at school called me the bastard daughter of a killer and a whore. Everyone except for the 18-year-old Jackson. He held me and told me, over and over, how wonderful I was. Because I'd once said I wanted to see real snow, he secretly saved up his money to buy us bus tickets to go up north. He was the boy who, while reading his public apology in front of the entire school, lifted his chin in defiance and declared, I did nothing wrong. I love Audrey, and I'm going to marry her one day. We used to huddle together in a tiny walk-up apartment, making wishes over a cheap slice of leftover cake from his part-time job. Even after he became a ruthless titan of industry, his eyes had still been full of me. He'd let me pick his personal assistants just to make me feel secure. Sylvie's resume was unremarkable. Her English was colored by a thick, rural accent, but she reminded me of my younger self, with that same relentless drive to succeed. I treated her like a little sister, buying her clothes, teaching her the subtle arts of navigating high society. I even invited her to our home for the holidays. She would link her arm through mine, a playful smile on her face. Don't you worry, Audrey. I'll keep a close eye on Mr. Archer for you. No other woman will get near him. And yet, she was the one who betrayed me the deepest. The hospital room door swung open. Sylvie walked in, dressed in a Chanel suit and carrying a Hermes bag. There was no trace of the country girl she once was. Jackson is swamped at the office. He couldn't get away, so he asked me to check on you, she said, her voice smooth as silk. Audrey, please stop hurting yourself. I know you're upset, but the title of Mrs. Archer will always be yours. We would never try to take that from you. I closed my eyes, unwilling to watch her performance. Get out. Don't make me say it again. Sylvie clearly hadn't expected such a blunt dismissal. Her smile faltered. Audrey, you have trouble conceiving. You can't hold Jackson back forever. Her voice dropped, turning venomous. You're a barren wreck, Audrey. Jackson's been sick of you for years. She clicked her heels on the polished floor and left, her face a mask of displeasure. Who the hell cared about the title of Mrs. Archer? What I wanted was the boy whose world revolved around me, the lover who had promised me a home. And since the man he'd become had shattered that promise with his own two hands, I didn't want this love, tainted with betrayal and lies, anymore either. A cold resolve settled in my heart. My hand was steady as I wrote. If you don't listen, you will cause Audrey to try and kill herself over and over again until she loses the will to live. If you truly love her, then stay away from her. It's the only thing you can do for her. I leaned back against the headboard, drained, and waited for his reply. Minutes ticked by. Just when I thought he wouldn't respond, new words slowly bled onto the page. The boy's handwriting was no longer angry, but hesitant. You're lying. Audrey is perfect. How could I ever hurt her? I'll spend my whole life taking care of her. Why should I believe you? You don't have any proof. My life was the proof, written in blood and tears. But how could I explain that to the boy from 11 years ago? Should I tell him that after a business dinner, he would get blackout drunk and sleep with his adoring assistant? That she would get pregnant and give birth to his twins? That the girl he once treasured like a rare jewel would sink into a deep depression, haunted by his daily betrayals, and try to violently claw her way out of this world, again and again? The truth was too cruel for the 18-year-old boy to bear. After a moment's thought, I added one more line. You have a small birthmark near your tailbone. It's shaped like a tiny star. Jackson had told me that only he, the orphanage director, and I knew about it. Are you really my guardian angel? I smiled a little. The boy was so easy to fool. If you truly want to save Audrey, you have to be distant. Be cold to her. Let her live a life without you in it. A long time passed. When the words finally appeared, they were steeped in a reluctant, painful acceptance. Fine. I'll listen to you for now. But if I find out you're lying, I swear I won't let you get away with it. A teenager's threat, fierce but naive. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding, a real smile touching my lips for the first time in ages. Please, 18-year-old Jackson, I thought. Be cruel. Be heartless. Push away the girl who loves you with her entire being. Push her as far away as you can. The day I was discharged, Jackson came to pick me up. His gaze darkened when he saw the fresh scar on my neck. The passenger seat is a little messy. You should sit in the back, he said. My eyes landed on a pair of torn pantyhose hastily stuffed into the side pocket. My heart clenched tight. But this time, I didn't scream or demand answers. I just silently got into the back seat. Jackson seemed taken aback by my calmness. The driver raised the privacy divider. Jackson cleared his throat, trying to break the heavy silence. Audrey, he began, his voice laced with confusion. How did we end up like this? It's simple, I said, my voice flat. There was a time when you only had eyes for me. Now, I'm just one of your many options, and not even the most important one. His voice immediately rose in defense. That's not true. You know you'll always be the most important person to me. A mocking smile played on my lips. That's an honor I can't afford, Jackson. His face hardened. Audrey, do you have to be so damn aggressive all the time? I'm doing everything I can to make it up to you. I haven't even officially added them to the family records. What more do you want from me? He always had an excuse. Did that mean my pain was worthless? A profound weariness washed over me. I didn't even have the strength to argue anymore. Tomorrow, we're going to the courthouse. He grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to face him. I told you, a divorce is not happening. You will be my wife for the rest of your life. I looked at his handsome face, now twisted with rage, and he seemed like a complete stranger. Jackson, the only thing that ever kept me here was my love for you. I don't love you anymore, so you can't keep me anymore. His pupils constricted. He slumped back into his seat and, after a long moment, let out a cold laugh. Your mind games are getting more sophisticated, I'll give you that. I underestimated you. The moment I stepped through the front door, I heard the sound of children laughing, followed by Sylvie's gentle cooing. Slow down, you two. Daddy will be home any minute. The living room carpet was littered with toys. The twins were wrestling playfully while Sylvie, dressed in comfortable loungewear, watched them with a fond smile. The domestic scene was so perfect it stung my eyes. Hearing us, Sylvie naturally took the jacket from Jackson's shoulders and smiled graciously at me. Audrey, if you need anything at all, just let me know. She sounded every bit the lady of the house. The little boy ran up and kicked my shin. Bitch. Don't you dare ruin my family. The girl pouted. Daddy, why did you let the mean lady come back to our house? Jackson, however, didn't seem to mind their hostility. His face was filled with doting affection. Daddy will always love you two the most. I was an outsider, watching this happy family of four. I dug my nails into my palms, the sharp pain a desperate anchor to my composure. I'll take the guest room. Jackson followed me into the room. Are you really going to hold a grudge against the children? I was just placating them. I laughed a hollow sound. What do your children have to do with me? Why should I have to consider their feelings? My words left him speechless, his face turning ashen. Audrey, I don't even recognize you anymore. I nodded, my voice light and airy. And you have only yourself to thank for that. I gently placed the old apology note on the nightstand. Just then, new writing appeared on it. To my future self, you're a piece of shit. I can see what you're doing right now. How could you let another woman and her bastard children into our home? How the fuck could you let Audrey suffer like this? I'm going to kill you. The words were a chaotic scrawl of pure rage. My heart pounded in my chest. And Jackson, standing in the doorway, seemed to sense something. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, zeroed in on the paper in my hand. His voice was low and dangerous. Audrey, what is that you're holding? Jackson snatched the paper from my hand. Stop playing these stupid games, Audrey. I think you're having a psychotic break. I stared at him, my voice sharp with alarm. Don't you touch that. The disgust in my eyes seemed to ignite his fury. His gaze turned venomous. This is my house. You are my wife. What is there that I can't touch? Audrey, have I been too easy on you lately? What is this, a love letter from your new boy toy? So, this was him being easy on me? Forcing me to accept his betrayal and his illegitimate children, ignoring my agony? A chill colder than death seeped into my bones. I shoved him out of the room with all my strength and locked the door. All I could do now was pray that the Jackson from 11 years ago would listen, that he could somehow change my fate. But the next few days passed with no change at all. My heart sank. Perhaps as a punishment for my disobedience, Jackson decided to throw a lavish party to formally welcome the twins into the family. Invitations were sent to half the city's elite. Sylvie, radiant in a couture gown, stood with the two children, graciously accepting the congratulations and well wishes from the crowd. When her eyes met mine, they were gleaming with triumph. Her smile seemed to say, "This is just the beginning. The next party you attend will be our wedding." Halfway through the event, a slideshow of the children's lives began playing on a large screen. There was Jackson, having a picnic with them and their mother. Jackson, taking them to a water park. The images were a beautiful, agonizing torture. Suddenly, the screen flickered. The children's smiling faces were gone. In their place was a shockingly graphic scene. It was the video of my mother's affair, the one her lover had secretly filmed and leaked online years ago. We looked so much alike. I could feel the guests' scornful glares piercing my skin. Jackson was shouting at the technicians to shut it down, but something was wrong with the controls. My mother's wanton moans echoed through the grand ballroom. My blood ran cold, freezing in my veins. Across the room, Sylvie's lips curled into a poisonous smile. She mouthed the words silently. "Like my gift?" I lunged at her, slapping her across the face with every ounce of strength I had. Sylvie stumbled backward theatrically, colliding with her son, who had run over to see the commotion. The boy fell to the ground and burst into tears. "Sylvie, my son!" Jackson roared. Before I could even react, I was kicked, sent flying like a rag doll. My head slammed against the marble floor. A sharp, searing pain exploded at the back of my skull as a warm liquid began to pool beneath me. I curled up on the ground, a wet heat spreading between my legs. I reached down with a trembling hand, and it came away slick with blood. The ballroom dissolved into a chaotic symphony of gasps and whispering voices, but to Audrey, the world had gone entirely silent. The wet heat between her legs bloomed into a terrifying crimson puddle on the white marble floor. "Jackson," she whispered, her voice cracking as she clutched her abdomen. The pain was unlike anything she had ever felt, a hollow, tearing agony. Jackson stood frozen over Sylvie and his crying son, his face instantly draining of color as his eyes tracked the blood pooling around Audrey. The anger in his expression vanished, replaced by a raw, primitive terror. "Audrey," he choked out, lunging toward her, completely abandoning Sylvie. "Don't touch me," Audrey gasped, her vision blurring at the edges. With the last ounce of her strength, she reached into her evening clutch, her bloody fingers desperately gripping the folded, yellowed apology note she had smuggled into the party. As her eyes began to roll back, she saw fresh, frantic ink bleeding through the paper, burning so hot it almost singed her skin. "Audrey. Audrey, answer me." I felt it. I felt a sudden, agonizing pain in my chest, and I saw a vision of you covered in blood. "What is happening to you? What is that monster doing to you?" Jackson tried to scoop her into his arms, his voice shaking violently. "Call an ambulance. Someone call a fucking ambulance." But Audrey didn't look at him. With trembling, bloody fingers, she managed to scrawl a single sentence on the note before darkness swallowed her whole. "He killed our baby, Jackson. He killed the only thing I had left." When the paramedics wheeled her out, the old apology note remained tightly clenched in her fist, hidden from the world, vibrating with the silent, furious screams of an 18-year-old boy 11 years in the past. Audrey woke up to the sterile smell of disinfectant and the steady, rhythmic beeping of a heart monitor. The room was dark, save for the pale moonlight filtering through the window. "You're awake," a hollow voice said from the corner. Jackson sat in a chair, his clothing disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. For the first time in years, he looked entirely broken. "The doctors, they had to perform an emergency surgery, Audrey. You were 6 weeks pregnant. You didn't know, and I didn't know." Audrey stared at the ceiling. A tear slipped down her temple, but her face remained a mask of pure apathy. She had spent years begging for a child, a piece of the home he had promised. To find out she was capable of conceiving only at the exact moment he caused her to lose, it was a cruel joke. "Sylvie didn't know the video would play," Jackson stammered, trying to grab her hand. "She swears she didn't do it. The technician leaked it." "Get out," Audrey whispered. "Audrey, please, I am so sorry." "Jackson." She turned her head, her gaze so vacant it made him flinch. "If you don't leave this room, I will pull these tubes out of my arms and bleed to death, right in front of you." Terrified by the absolute certainty in her voice, Jackson backed away, stumbling out of the room. The moment the door clicked shut, Audrey opened her hand. The apology note was damp with her sweat and blood. She unfolded it. The page was entirely covered in frantic, messy scrawls from the teenage Jackson. I don't care if you're a guardian angel or a demon. Tell me how to save her. I went to her house today. I saw her crying on the porch because of what the kids at school said. I wanted to run to her, to hold her, but I remembered your warning. I stayed away, but it hurts so much. She looked at me today like I was a stranger. Is this really how I save her? By breaking her heart right now. Audrey's heart wrenched. She picked up the hospital pen, her tears smudging the ink as she wrote back. Yes. You must break her heart now, so he cannot destroy her soul later. Go to the north. Take the bus ticket you saved up for, but go alone. Leave a note telling her you never loved her. Let her hate you. Let her move on. The next morning, the legal counsel Audrey had secretly hired weeks ago